Welcome to Imperative Ministries Business and Spirituality Podcast. In each episode, we discuss matters of spirituality and how they relate to the world of business. Since people are comprised of mind, soul, and spirit, we will also take a look at subjects such as mental and physical health. Thank you for joining host Michael McElwain as he interviews people whose life experiences provide an opportunity for learning and inspiration.
And there in its circle, while flowers did grow, bloom where you are planted, and God will make you grow. Bloom where you are planted, and God will make you grow. Tell other people that Jesus loves them so. Tell them how he came to earth and died to set them free. And bloom where you are planted, wherever that might be. Welcome, everyone, to our latest edition of the Business and Spirituality Podcast. It's been a little while since I've put one on. It's amazing how time flies by. And so we're going to change directions. Last time we had Nick Hunt with Cyberlytics on, and we were talking about some internet related things, but we're going to go a different direction and go more entrepreneurial. And today for our guest, we have Ariel Smith from Real Rejuvenations. And I have even used some of her products. I'm gonna let her tell you about them here in just a minute. But first of all, I just want to say, Ariel, it is good to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I first got connected really to Ariel through her mother being a Facebook friend of mine. And we have just talked back and forth. See, to me, Facebook is not a place where I argue about a lot of things like some people do. I don't put any drama on my pages. And I found out if you're reaching out and trying to meet new people, your life is enriched. And Ariel was just telling me a minute ago that she loves to travel. And I'm able to let her tell you about a few of those things here. I can say all my travel has been mission trips, but having gone to Jamaica and Brazil and Russia, there's a different world out there, and it expands your horizons. And tell us a little bit about your travel experience. It sounds like it's really, and I already know, it just changes your worldview and really just sort of expands your thinking.
Yeah. So my love for travel actually started through church. We called him Uncle Bernie, and through the summer he would take us and about 30 kids, like under 5th grade, maybe up to the 8th grade, but under 5th grade. And we would take a road trip, like just throughout the continental US. So I've actually been to most states, except for like North Dakota, South Dakota, Maine. Those are the only type of states that I haven't been to, but all the other states I've been to. In regards to international travel, my mother actually really instilled that in me. We always took trips. I even been to, well, this is domestic, but I've been to Hawaii as well. But back to international, Cancun, Colombia, that I actually just went to with my fiance. I've gone to Thessaloniki, Greece, Athens, Greece, France, Monte Carlo, South Africa, and then my first international trip that I actually claim is to Foshan, Guangdong, China. I was a foreign exchange student over there. Absolutely amazing. And then I was able to receive my foreign exchange sister here in America, maybe about a year after I had went to China. But through that traveling, I was able to just learn so much about different foods. I'm also really big about cooking. I recently learned that cooking in the kitchen is my heart. Yeah. So the kitchen is usually the heart of the home, but the kitchen is really just in my heart wherever I go. I'm always looking at different ingredients, just how the quality. I really want the best quality meats if I'm eating meats, vegetables. I even have a garden outside where I'm able to cook and like bring things in from the garden. Not my garden yet, but my dad's garden.
Right.
We have eaten from his garden. But just back with the kitchen, that's actually where I started my business, Real Rejuvenations.
Okay.
So it's all natural skincare products. So body butters, scrubs. This is actually one of the products. It's just a multi-purpose oil that you can use head to toe, moisturizes you real good. But I started making those products in my mom's kitchen and sourcing out raw ingredients from Africa, specifically Ghana. So I get my shea butter from Ghana because that is the birthplace of it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so it really locks in a lot of moisture. And through this business, I've really had to pull on my faith with determination and discernment. So when you're having those business relationships, I rely so heavily on my discernment for relationships.
Yes.
Building relationships from the jump. Like usually I was actually talking to my sister about this earlier today, but usually about between the first and third interaction I have with an individual, my gut, my discernment has already told me this is a good option. You should probably stay away.
Right.
So I rely on that so heavily, even when I'm like feeling my new product, my new ingredients, or using my senses to see if I like the way that a new product could be, a new raw ingredient could be. I really rely on that discernment and mindful prayer to better understand what relationships I can go through with, what could or could not work with my brand. But that's just a little bit about the travel and how it all really ties in for my life.
You've even answered a lot of the questions that I already, had to ask you. But we'll dive into them a little more. But I do like the spiritual part that you brought into that, because I'm in the insurance business as well as a bivocational pastor, and I have discovered that the Lord blesses my hard work. When I ask him to help me with discernment or with favor, I realize that he has to bless me with favor, but that doesn't mean I sit back and just say, well, Lord, bless me. I have to get up, work hard and hustle. And I need, like I say, discernment too. Every customer is not a good customer. I've learned that this sound mean. Some people are really a waste of my time. They're gonna, I'm just saying there's people that are not, you have to drop them and let them go. And it's the same way. Somebody may seem like, oh, this is a great opportunity, but you dive in a little more and no, this is not. And the Bible does tell us to redeem the time and make the most of every opportunity. And that's one thing I know with, you just graduated college, right? Am I, what degree did you just complete with?
So I obtained a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Systems Engineering with minors in with minors in business and engineering project management from Texas A&M.
You didn't waste any of your education money. I did the same thing. I double minored. I'm like, yeah. Well, actually, I was a particular school I went to. They lacked a few classes. I was going to get a double minor. Mine was religious education and history, but I also wanted to do music. I ended up paying my own way a lot. And I'm like, look, I goofed off a little bit right out of high school. I didn't go right into school, which was good for me. I did construction work and I learned some old crusty old men taught me a lot of life wisdom that I needed. Plus later, some people can see music, especially some of the old men in some of the churches, sissyish, and I could tell them I drove a dump truck and ran a jackhammer. Oh, you're cool. You're a good guy. So, but again, that was a life experience thing. But so yes, and so obviously you've had to going to school and doing these things and managing this business. I mean, how do you manage your time so that you can do all these things? And then you're traveling and you're doing all this. And by the way, do you do any other things such as a podcast or any other thing? Are you doing other projects like that as well? Or
I actually don't. I used to have a YouTube channel, but I don't really utilize it as much. I do want to get it start back running. But as of right now, I spend a lot of my time in the kitchen. I absolutely love cooking. I have an Instagram that I really just use to follow people.
Right, I
And
understand.
I just post pictures about like me cooking, like what I cooked. We only grocery shop one time a month. And what else? I do my best to make everything from scratch. So like, of course, I'll like buy some ready-made things like bread and butter because I don't always feel like making it. But like, if you give me water, flour, and butter, well, really water, flour, and heavy whipping cream, I can push out some different meals. So like you can have a full breadth of, you could have breads, you could have pastas, you could have anything that you could think of between, just with those 3 ingredients.
Yes.
But in regards to time management, I take notes like crazy. I keep my calendar up to date. That's why I was just like, can you send a calendar invite?
Yes, yes. No, that's good.
I rely heavily on calendars and writing things down. Like I'll trust myself to remember some things. And usually I will like, oh, this date sounds familiar. This date and time sounds familiar. Oh, I need to be doing this. And then in regards to just everything else, my fiance and I, we started to do so on iPhones, you can do reminders.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we have like a shared reminder list because we own a home together now.
Yeah.
And we're able to assign different like tasks to each other. So we have like an ongoing to-do list that's shared between each other so that we're always like, oh, we're out. We actually need to get this. We put this on the to-do list. So it keeps us from like impulse buying, and it reminds us like, oh, you were supposed to do this today. Yes. Oh, the filters need to be changed June 1st because that's 3 months.
That's a great. I'd always doing that with my filters, and I got to get back to doing that because I found that I was much more, consistent with that. And I'm a person who is ADHD, and that's not a totally bad thing because I'm social, I like to be around people, but you got to get stuff done. And we just trained here Thursday and Friday on a system that helps me after I sell the insurance to put it into a system that makes sure I get paid and make sure we can track it. And I'm a person that's like, this is awesome. Look, I mean, now don't get me wrong, ADHD person doesn't like to sit down and put all that in. I roomed with a guy in college who was the neat freak, and I was a little sloppy, and people thought it wouldn't work. I don't know if you're familiar with the old show and the movie, The Odd Couple. It was a play, but one guy was sort of that way. One was fastidious, and the other person was very sloppy. But it was a great relationship for us because he kept me accountable, and he'd say, "Hey, Mike's getting a little sloppy." Well, thanks, John, and I would take care of it, and which those boundaries really helped me. I as a person, I wanted the boundary, but if you're asking me to come up with it, that's a little hard for me, but you give me some places that my ADHD can bounce between, I can get a lot done. And so that's why I just know time management's important. And I didn't know if you were naturally wired that way or if you've had to learn it, or.
I don't think I was naturally wired this way, but over time it became. That's right. So my mom, she is a very diplomatic individual. She was always really big about education. And she had us on a routine. Yes. You get up at this time. When you get back for school, she let me be a little different because she realized that I needed to unwind when I got back from school. I couldn't just come inside to start doing homework. Right. So I got 30 minutes out. This is elementary school. 30 minutes outside, come back inside, do your homework. 7 p.m. you need to get in the tub to bathe, and then 8 p.m. you need to be in the bed. By about 8:30, the TV needs to be off. So that was like the routine. And now to this day, it also flows into me being an industrial systems engineer. Yeah. So we're really big about systems. For me, once I can get a system in place, I'll set it on autopilot. And that's exactly how I feel about finances as well. Yes. My fiance and I, we review finances quarterly. So we'll go in, review finances, and I'll update my direct deposits. I'll update my auto pays so that everything is automatically running in the background. even with one of my accounts for investing, I have it on auto pay, like an auto deposit situation, so that it can go to this account and then be invested to E-Trade, and then I have to do the individual stuff in E-Trade, but at least the money is already there. And even with, well, we haven't started with mortgage yet, but once we get situated with mortgage and stuff, it's just going to be a system that's automated. And that's one less thing that I have to think about.
That's awesome. And thinking about money and things, this is a couple of podcasts back, I had Brian Fleming on, and he was talking about becoming your own banker. And there are some things you can do, and I'm exploring it now for myself. And I was telling my daughter, who is 25 years old, had an agent look at it, and there are certain types of life insurance policies that you can actually borrow out of and do things. And I'm telling her, I think it's $40 a month for a good $150,000 worth of that coverage, and that's with you. I mean, forever. You borrow out of it. There was Walt Disney and other people like financed some of their businesses out of that. So that's just another thing to think about. I'm exploring it, and I'm just telling you, you're young, look at it. I mean, you don't have to quit doing the other things you're doing, but I'm exploring that because it doesn't, the market volatility doesn't hit it quite as hard as, but everything's got pros and cons, but that's, since I can tell you're, I tell you, you're quick to look at those things. And I think that, this is the spiritual side coming in. A lot of people think, well, if I serve the Lord and I just sort of work hard, things that just sort of work out. But I'm finding out is these details that you're talking about is the Bible in the book of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes and in some other places speaks of this taking care of business and doing what you have to do. And I think sometimes that's lost. I know in training people for the ministry for a long time, guys got, and ladies too, that they got trained maybe in the languages and how to put forth a sermon, how to do certain things in the church, but there's management. I mean,
yes,
I have things that, if we don't do them right, the IRS can come get us and take things. And there's just stuff doesn't just happen. You've got to
put that effort forward.
You also put people around you to help you maybe with things that you're not naturally gifted in. Do you?
To balance each other out. And in saying that, I'm actually going through and like reading the Bible. I've only made it to Luke so far, but my fiance, he actually keeps me so consistent. Yes. He said at the beginning of the year that he wanted to read the Bible through and through this year.
Yes,
and when I tell you, he has done that every single day. And like, I love it because it reminds me like, hey, read your Bible, stay abreast on like what's going, well, not really what's going on, but like what's happening in the Bible so that you know, and remind yourself that God is ordering your steps and stay grounded. Yes. Like, there have been some situations where we'll have our little disagreement. I go to my office, he goes to his office, and one of two things will usually end up happening on both sides. Somebody's either journaling or just reading the Bible so that we can come out and be regrounded. It is so important. Like, it's so important to get regrounded, to remind yourself, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is how God told me to go through and go through and do this. And it also gives other examples of individuals that might have been in something similar.
That's right.
And the other thing that I like to do is try to look at it from different perspectives from individuals within the Bible so that I can say, okay, this is how they saw it. Okay, this is how he saw it, and this is how God sees it. This is what God said.
That's right.
So
that's good. That's good advice, and that's just I think that's wonderful that y'all are doing that. And I will tell you this though, you enter into marriage. There's some people that say, there's a scripture that says, "Don't let the sun go down on your wrath," which means if you're angry, you shouldn't go to bed angry. You should. If you're real tired, go to sleep. You wake up in the morning and have a new perspective. So don't stay up half the night trying to fix something. Sometimes it's just we'll work it out in the morning. We're both tired because sometimes just a good night's sleep, you'll wake up with a brand new perspective. But a lot of Christian couples, especially young couples, I know my wife and I do that. We'll stay up all night. We're not going to go to bed until this is fixed. They're like, no, just you wake up in the morning and feel better. And that was stupid. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry, and so no,
yeah. us, it'll usually be max a day and a half.
Yeah.
So like say it happens like noon on the 12th.
Yeah.
By longest, by about the 13th, around like midday, it's already situated. But more times than few, if a disagreement happened late, somebody was tired. And
right.
it was an impact,
right.
intention impact.
That's right.
So you just gotta really keep that in mind. Like with relationships, I feel like some people think it's such a them, this, us, but I feel like I've had to come within myself, like a lot more than anything else. Because by understanding myself and my own foundation that much more, I'm able to better understand and not be so combative to different opinions and different ways of doing things.
Why?
Like, why do I like to do it like this? Okay, that way works too. If they like to do it like that, go for it.
That's well, I used to work with someone that I think my ADHD set her off a little bit. We finally just had to haggle it out and have a conversation that, hey, I realized she was very totally rules oriented. I'm sort of one of those folks that, and I believe in rules, but I'm a little more ask forgiveness than ask permission sometimes. So I choose to do it in a nice way, but but like I say, because sometimes if somebody will really try this, it's going to work, and I just okay. But anyway, yeah, we have to do that. Some things are not, now some things are right or wrong, but some things are just, there's really multiple ways to do it. And, it works, that's why I love my kids are involved in sports. My oldest one wasn't, but the younger two are. And I'm glad they are, because it's giving them some discipline, some how to be a team member, how to do that. And I just want to say, maybe for older people who are watching today, you say, well, this is all great. Ariel is so young, you can change gears too. I'm doing this. A lot of folks my age, 50s and late 50s, having to change careers. I have a friend who's changed 3 times because life tragedy hit her. And if you have that determination that I'm going to go with God, I'm going to be, I'm not going to be down. I'm going to keep going. And so, there may be some of you out here, I hope the younger people will plug into this, but even the older ones, that maybe time to start a business. Money is tight right now, and you can only cut so much. Sometimes you need to make more money. So like Real Rejuvenations is not your, you have another job. This is probably more of a side thing you're doing, but and do you have dreams for it to eventually be something really big?
I would definitely be open to it. However, a lot of my dreams and goals have really been around a patent attorney. I would absolutely love to be a patent attorney. And I actually, like, maybe the past year and a half, I experienced a lot of just self-doubt. And I really had to like pray and get that in check and ask for a lot of clarity, because I was actually I was getting my master's, and I asked for clarity, which is why you have to be very intentional about what you pray for and pray about. Because I asked for clarity and I received clarity that the master's that I was getting isn't what's in my heart. I need to get back on track to what I actually want, which is being a patent attorney, which would include me going to law school.
Yes. Actually, I'm in a networking group with a patent attorney, and he loves doing that, been doing that for years. And so even found out he was at one time working in my neck of the woods where I grew up in Southwest Alabama. So small world. So yeah, there's that is great. And it's amazing to hear the things that he helps people with. And and you need that protection. You need that. I think you've got some great dreams, and people need to have dreams. They need to.
I also love building people's confidence with my skin products. Like, I don't think it'll ever go away. My thing, being an industrial engineer, I always want to automate a system. However, if I were to get to that level, my main my main challenge would be the product still being handmade, and all the workers being paid at ethical levels.
Yes, yes.
That like it's a huge issue. And before I even step into that area, that challenge would have to be resolved, because a lot of these places that make things handmade, not the luxury, not the LV or the YSL, those people are being usually paid okay, to my understanding of things that I see. But when it comes to like a lot of beauty products, the people aren't paid well. They're not treated adequately. And I would just need that situated.
And I think this is where our faith and all this mixes in together. There's some people who simply just want to just make money, and it's good to make money. I mean, I'm telling people I was not, as a minister, really paid well enough to have a good retirement, and I've just got to crank that up. I have no qualms. And some people think I'm unspiritual because I'm like, my goal is to make a lot of money. I have a goal at, but I also want to be but I'm like you, I want to treat people right with it. You know, money can be used to do a lot of things. And I know God will bless that particular desire that you have there for that to happen, because that is an honorable thing. The Bible says a laborer is worthy of his hire. And I was in church I was serving in Southwest Florida. Our pastor was getting a teaching degree, and he came across a movement that they were just asking, I think, for the grocery stores to pay, I think it was maybe an extra 10 cents per so many tomatoes these migrant workers were picking. It would totally just boost their, it wasn't a massive amount of money, but it would really, it'd make a huge difference, you know. And so, and remember, we signed the petition encouraging that. So yes, there's a lot of things we need to do. And I just wanted to say about your Real Rejuvenations, and I'm not the best model for anybody's product, but I have used them. I was having some skin problems. Your mom had mentioned it on her Facebook page, and I said, well, I'm just going to try this. And what do you know? I mean, I have bad skin because I was in Southwest Florida. It was a very sunny place. You didn't get any rain hardly in the wintertime. I mean, you get a little bit, but it was 78 degrees and beautiful, you know, weather. And so I'm out there, and man, it just tore my skin up. I wasn't properly treating it right. So guys, it's not sissy to put things on your face. And I did use that, and it really, again, I'm not the best model for that. You're not going to put me, you know, on your flyers or anything, but it works. It really helps. So take care of that. And again, I had no reactions to it because it's natural stuff. And natural is the way God's, you know, created things. I'm not saying that some synthetic things are bad, but even medicines, I take some medicines now. My blood sugar got out of control here a little while back, and getting it back under control. But I want to get back to natural ways of doing that because it just works that way. And again, so what could you, what could you do to maybe counsel young people who would want to start a business like you did? I mean, how did you make that happen while you were at school? And like, when did you start this business?
So I started this business, wow, I'm losing track of years. August of 2019.
Okay.
2020, my last semester, my last year in school. So August of 2020, officially, like I received my LLC August of 2020. I started making the products probably in about 2017.
Okay.
I was out in New York. My sister's best friend, she had taught me how to make products. And then a couple years later, I had a flare-up of P. rosea. And I was looking at different things to at least treat the symptoms, because there's no cure for P. rosea. If it wants to pop up, it pops up. If you're allergic to this item in a store-bought product, you might not know what it is, but that's what was giving me different flare-ups. So I started making my own products. And that's really how I came up with Real Rejuvenations. My fiance gave me the idea for the name. I was just like, I just know I needed to start with an R. I want to stay with the R's because my name.
Yes, I like that.
So, but yeah, in regards to balance, it was hard. It was actually really hard. The business would usually kind of take the back seat on a few of the days, because I believe my last undergrad summer, I was actually working an internship with the company that I'm at right now. However, I was virtual. So that freed up some time. When it came back to work, being in school, I think I was taking between 16 and 19 credit hours my very last semester. So that it got a little difficult. That definitely got a little difficult, taking between 16 and 19 credit hours and doing my best to create products.
That was
But
heavy.
once I got out of school and graduated, I hit the road running. So all of 2021, about 60% of those Saturdays, I was out selling product, like just out in the sun, and my family and my fiance so supportive. At the 60% of the Saturdays I was out there, my parents were probably out there 50% of the time. And my fiance, I think he only missed one. And the one that he missed was because he had a meeting, like, for work.
Or like he had to do support. It really does. That's right. And so there's other things you could have been doing, but you saw the vision to build this business. And I think a lot of people want to, and again, it's not that you can't, you're obviously traveling, you're doing some recreation, you're not overworked, but you do have to, like you say, you do have to make a commitment. You really do. So
yeah. Those Fridays and Saturdays that I would want to sleep, but on the flip side, I would emphasize everything in moderation.
Yes.
Because I think it was midsummer. I was on my 7th day of working, like each day. And I looked over at my fiance and he was just like, you need to sit down. You need to sit down.
Yep.
And then he was just like, how many days have you worked? And I was just like, 7. And he was just like, you never work 7 days in a row. You always take a rest on the 7th day. You don't do that. Right. He was so upset with me.
Yeah, God says that in the Bible. That's right. And that's hard for me being a bivocational pastor. I have to tell people I can't fill up my Saturdays with a lot of obligations because I'm working at least 5 days a week. Plus I'm doing some church things on the side, and Sunday is pretty busy. You got to have that unwind. I heard a testimony about it, and I got to tell you, I'm going to have to, we may have to pause and come back because it's given me, I didn't have the pro program here to record. It may cut me off. And if it does, we'll just start back up. I'll send you a new invitation, and we'll pick back up, and I'll splice these together. Okay, so I do know how to do that, so we'll make it happen. But yeah, this guy was saying that he was at one time working 60, 70, really more. Well, actually, he was working way more than 60 hours a week. He said he was getting in bed at 2 a.m. in the morning, getting back up at 6. So, okay. Yes, we got cut off because I only had like 40 minutes of recording time. It hasn't happened to me before. I guess it's the way I set up the recording. But we'll splice this back together and make it work. But it was just saying that this particular person saw what he was doing was he was just working all these long hours and was totally worn out. Like I say, getting in at 2 in the morning, sometimes getting back up at 6. And there was this scripture, I believe it's in the book of Ecclesiastes, how it was the folly or the vanity to, rise early, go to bed late, and basically you're wearing yourself out was the gist of it. And that the Lord gives, he prospers you. And so he still worked very hard. He said he brought a good team of people around him and let them do their jobs. And because I think his problem was he was trying to also sort of manage them, overmanage them, and said it's panned out. His business has done well. He tries to never work more than 60 hours a week and really tries to cut it out at 50 and 55. And that's where I've been too. I stopped at the beginning of the day. I said, Lord, I need you to bless me with increase. Help me to see the people I need to see. It's more than just selling to them. I come in with a smile on my face when I walk into offices, cold calling, and most people don't mind me there because of that joyful disposition I try to exude in a world that's very negative. And so I think that was very wise of your fiance to tell you to, and really you have to stop. You'll find that I was just ask you, have you found that you were fresher when you took that break, when you came back to the work?
Oh, definitely. Like we took the vacation to Colombia, and we were like, this is a relaxing vacation. We don't need to jump around, do all the touristy things. And when I tell you, my last day, I was like invigorated to go back to work. I felt like I could take on everything. Like,
Yes.
I understand what I need to do. I was able to review what I needed to do with like bright tail, bright-eyed, bushy tail.
Yes.
I was ready and excited to go forth. And I took today, and I was able to hammer out like a good chunk of my work before we had this call today.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That comes with the time management too. You knew what you had to do, and like me, I have to leave and go distribute some documents and go visit with some people and do some other things. And like I said, knowing what you have in store, how to plan and how to organize. Again, and then there's just a time where the spiritual time of the Lord, I need you to bless me. But I have discovered that sometimes even when I work in things and maybe whatever I was trying to do really didn't pan out, it seems like then he blessed some other way. Like what I was doing to try to make money, that didn't work out. Well, it came through another source. But I think the Lord was honoring my ability to work and my willingness to work and be diligent. And I see this through what you're doing through Real Rejuvenations and the other things that I see. I was just going to ask you on your podcast, but the YouTube channel you had, what was the name of that? It seems like maybe I had looked at that at some time in the past. That's The
Real with Ariel.
Okay, The Real. Okay.
Yeah. I've been recording some videos, but I just haven't edited them.
I understand. I totally understand. I'm behind on my ministry things. I'm getting my podcast up with my sermons and other things, but I also put it on YouTube, and that's another step I have to take. And well, there's only so many hours in a day. So now your sister, I believe, did she also have a YouTube channel at one time, or?
So she doesn't do YouTube. She is actually the CEO of Every Dope Girl.
That's okay. Maybe that's what I was. But does that have a YouTube channel or something? It seems like there was
Instagram.
Oh, there you go. Okay, Instagram. So
yeah.
Just we need to get sister on at some point to talk about her things that she's doing there. But no, I can tell you've had a good support from your family. They've pointed you in this direction, and I would just say to other parents, if you want your kids to accomplish well and do these things, but you gotta steer them some way. There are resources out there. You say, well, I don't know how to do that. Well,
camps. My mom had me in a camp every single summer. I was doing something. I wasn't allowed to just sit and kind of waste away the summer. I was in an engineering camp, like whatever I had said that like I kind of wanted to do, they would find a camp for me. I remember I wanted to be a doctor. I was like, I don't know if I want to be an engineer. I don't know if I want to be a doctor. They found like a doctor and engineering camp in New Jersey at Princeton for me to be at for 6 weeks when I was like in the 6th or 7th grade. They put in those efforts. They found a NASA camp for me. It was at U of H back in like 2006, before 2006.
Okay.
So she was always looking for camps, and the camps, you don't have to always pay for the camps. There's scholarships that you can find for the camps, but a lot of these universities like Texas A&M, UH, any university that you think of, they're usually putting on some type of camp for youngsters, like elementary, middle, even up to high, to help mold the kids, to help mold that child.
So even if a person maybe even doesn't have great internet at home, but many people own one of these, and you have cell phone internet, you have a thing called Google, you can go research it and you can find. I think some people feel helpless, and it's like, I don't just know. Well,
just look.
Even in my insurance business, there are times that I have some good support groups. I can walk in next door and talk to the owner, interrupt him, he'll try to answer that question. The overseeing TWFG that we work under their umbrella, they have a great support staff. I can send stuff in. But if I'm just super quick, want to answer, sometimes I just Google it. Oh, oh, okay, there's that terminology. I got it, So yeah, people don't have to be pitiful and helpless,
Yeah. And thinking back, I also feel like my parents relied on like our like church friends to talk to each other with like, oh, what camp is your child in this year? Oh, their camps, or the church is putting on a camp.
Yes.
So just got to get them involved in something, because the level of excellency and organization and time management that I have now is not something that happened overnight. I was in elementary and middle school okay that I had an 88, 89, and I did not care to even try to think about pushing for the A or study, because I was not studying in primary school. I did not study. Like I don't feel like I actually started to study until undergrad. And if I had like understood time management and really understood studying in high school, I probably could have left summa cum laude. Like I probably would have had above a 3.6. I graduated with a 3.4 in engineering, so I'm still okay with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. No, that's right.
But could have been better if I had those skills in undergrad.
But the thing is, you got them now, and I just want to say, and some will say, which Ariel is still very young, even at my age, you can still, it's harder, but you can still learn new things. I'm in my area here, I live in Dayton, Texas, and my business I work at in Liberty. It's beginning to be more of a heavily Latin, Hispanic movement. So I'm in the process of learning Spanish, because I just think that's a good idea to do. And I'm pretty quick with languages. Going into travel, I told you I went on a mission trip to Russia 6 years ago. And there was even a few tensions there between our nations, but it was an interesting trip. And some of the churches had the songs that they were singing on screen. Some of the bigger churches did that we attended. And I didn't always know what I was singing, but I figured out the alphabet and the pronunciation. So I'd sort of sing along with them. Didn't know what I was singing, but I could pronounce it, and so, and everybody's got a skill that way. Some will say, now I have a pretty photographic memory. I can tell you that in 1986, when Dave Wilson quarterbacked the New Orleans Saints, he threw for 9 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. And that's nice. I can soak up information like a sponge, but that kind of stuff keeps me up at night too, because I have too much stuff crammed in my head. So, which some people would say, well, that's a blessing. Some things were easy for me, like history and literature. I could just read it and get it. But putting something together like engineering, my mind I could soak it up, but I didn't always know how to use it. But I learned how to work on cars. And a friend of mine told me, you're getting impatient. You've got to stop, step back, assess the situation. And that was not natural for me. So I think a lot of people I'm hearing say, I'm not correcting it in my teaching and preaching. Well, that's just how I'm wired. That's how I am. I'm like, well, yeah, but God expects you to grow. And so have you found that out, that you've had to tell you cannot lean back on just, this is how I'm wired? You have to.
I've always told myself, if I'm comfortable, I'm not growing.
There you go.
That's my really big thing. And even with this new team that I'm in, I can feel myself like getting comfortable, because I actually know what's going on. So I've been like trying to take extra steps to see like what is in my job criteria that over time other people have picked up.
Yes.
So that I can be a better team player.
Yes.
And that makes me uncomfortable, because it was never properly like written down what I was supposed to be doing. I'm just going to be kind of going off of the relationship that I build with this new person. So you gotta be uncomfortable.
Yes. Well, and things are difficult, at times. We have to work through different personalities. I know someone was saying a little while back that there's a scripture that tells us in the church to, bear with one another. Said, well, if there's nothing to bear with, we're all alike and we all agree and well, there's no challenge there. That scripture doesn't need to be there. It's there because, we're being challenged, and that's not always a bad thing, it's never a bad thing to grow. So
yeah, I wouldn't want a room full of me's. I want a room full of differing perspectives, differing opinions. I mean, not crazy, but like, even when you run into like what you feel as though off the wall opinions, sometimes if you just get through that first barrier wall to understand why they feel that way, they'll either change their mind, or you're able to understand why they feel that way. Because there's been some situations where it's just like, why, like, what did you just say? And then they explain, and it's just like, oh, you have this priority over here, and that's why you like this. And I just have this priority over here, and that's why I like this. That's fair. So
we're living in a world where people can't talk to one another about things because everybody's got, if you differ a little bit, you're immediately the enemy. And it's like, not necessarily. Sometimes, well, actually, in his book, Love Over Fear, Dan White Jr. tells about two gentlemen that got together. One was more of a politically conservative mindset. One was a little more moderate, even progressive. And they forced themselves to start eating lunch together. And sometimes it get a little tense between them. But in the end, they really agreed that they wanted a lot of the same things, but they just had a little different way of going about it, So, and one was able to influence the other a little bit. And they actually were, I've been convinced that people aren't as far apart on a lot of things as we think they are. It's just, we just got a different way maybe of trying to get there. And I'm not saying that there's not a right and a wrong. I do believe some things in life it's right and it's wrong, but there are also things that there's a different way you could get there. There really are. I'm just glad to hear that from you, because that's where I've been telling people, while there is hope in our world, there is, we have young people like you who are, you have to understand, I'm old enough now that as I'm getting older, I used to always wonder when my dad and them would say, well, that girl, and she's really, like 38, I see that now, that's as we're getting older, that we have some friends that our family are good friends with, and our kids are about the same age, but we had kids later in life. So like the wife of the family was born the year I graduated high school. So, but like I said, relating to people and getting past things, that is awesome. And which you definitely got to do that in business. So I just wanted to, because I know we've talked for a while, and again, I'll have to go back and splice this other thing together, and we'll make that happen too. But do you have any, like I say, I know Real Rejuvenations, has a website, has a presence on the internet. How would people find out about these products? And again, I can vouch for them because I've used them, okay? And they work, and they are natural, and like I say, they aren't a bunch of harsh chemicals. And so yeah, how would people access this, Aria?
So I have a website, realrejuvenations.com, and then an Instagram, Real Rejuvenations. And then in regards to like personal, I have my own LinkedIn. It's just my first and last name, and attached to that LinkedIn is my Real Rejuvenations business page.
Okay, all right.
Oh, and then my personal Instagram is just R_Smitty.
Okay, we want to tell people how to find these, so that they will, again, so that they can connect with you and stay in touch, because I want people to do that. And as I do this to help people promote their business, I definitely want to do that. But we're also here to, and I also say, you said that Smitty, is that your Instagram?
Yes, and that's where I post about like different pages.
Okay, I'm pulling that up now just so I can write it down. Yeah, you see, I'm a very sort of a one-man operation here. At some point, maybe I'll have a sidekick over here that can do those things and help me out. But I love doing this. I learned so much these interviews, but I also just wanted people to know that there's a spiritual aspect of our business, but again, it's not all, as we want to be prosperous in the world, and we want to, again, make money. And again, the Bible doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of it. But you can make it. You can't travel. You can't give money to missions. You see people who are struggling and you think, I wish I could give them some money. Well, if you had some, you could give it, so you have to do those things and yet keep it in perspective. Is there anything you would like to just add or share? Anything, just you what a wonderful job of sharing about your business, your life, your goals, and you inspire me, to be better and work harder. So
thank you. Well, the main thing that I have to say for anyone out there, continue pushing, praying until something happens. Yes. Really big on that. Remain steadfast in what God leads your heart to. And then, of course, all things in moderation. And then finally, for you, thank you for having me today. I really do appreciate for you even thinking of me to have me on your podcast. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's been a delight. Again, I've learned a good bit, and I know our audience has as well. And I've had a diverse group of guests. I had someone, I guess I talked to him for about an hour and a half. He was a college buddy of mine, and he worked with the Mississippi, the Department of found money. They were trying to help people, recover money. It's amazing how much of that's out there. That didn't work out for me. I didn't find any, but I tried. But no, you're doing a great job, and keep up the good work. Your family has blessed me. Your church has blessed me. When I was sick, really, I was beginning of the pandemic. I'd had other things happen in my life, but the pandemic didn't help it. And I began to have some panic attacks. And I remember asking your mom to put me on the prayer list, and she got Apostle Perry to actually get on the phone and pray with me, and he did. And but I remember too, as I was on some meds and trying to get situated, I was really struggling one day, and on your church's, I guess I would say it was the Facebook page where the message was going out. I like the fact that people were, it was interactive. In other words, we could say amen or and I remember I said, I'm struggling today. Would y'all pray for me? And so many people just rallied and said, God's got this. And I'm gonna take a Sunday off one day and come visit your church, because y'all were, especially during the pandemic, a big part of helping me in my life. And my kids got to where they like to watch Apostle Perry, and I didn't even say my dog liked to watch Apostle Perry. He said that chocolate lab. He loves gospel music, and he's a pretty mellow guy. But Pastor could get excited and animated without being shrill, and so dog didn't mind that. So, but no, we were really helped, and so your family's been a blessing to me, and I pray for y'all regularly, and so I'm here to help, and I just thank you again for being here with us. So again,
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So we will hopefully maybe update with Ariel in the future and down the road here, and see what things the Lord's doing in her life and in her business and in her work. And I'm just excited about that. So tune in next time, everyone. Again, thank you, Ariel, for being here.
No problem.
And like I say, we'll put all this up on the YouTube page, the slide. You'll be able to see this and find ways to get in touch with her. So till next time, everyone, God bless you, and keep the Lord in all your business, and we will see you soon.
While walking in the woods one day, not so long ago, I saw an old discarded tie from long, long ago. And there in its circle, wildflowers did grow. Bloom where you are planted, and God will make you grow. Bloom where you are planted, and God will make you grow. Tell other people that Jesus loves them so. Tell them how he came to earth and died to set them free. And bloom where you are planted, wherever that might be.